Good morning, everybody. It's Erin here. How are you? It's Sunday, September 20th, 2020. So we're here at 3:20s today. This is your weekly for the week ahead, and we're going to focus on the big event happening this week, which is the equinox. So we're moving into the autumnal equinox for the northern hemisphere and the spring equinox for the southern. And we're going to look at what's activated. You can see here I have, again, Eastern US time frame here. The ascendant moves depending on where you are on the planet, okay? So it will be a Scorpio ascendant for certain areas. For the East Coast, it's a 2-degree Scorpio ascendant. So we're going to take a look at this. And I might go ahead and pull back and we'll look at the archetypal chart as well. Let me just take a sip of my coffee here. I have 3 dakinis that I've pulled for your intuitive choice, the guidance for the week ahead. So before we look at the astrology, what shall we pick for our 3 choices here? Let's just look at this image. Let me pull up my highlighter here. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and just look at a couple different things here with this image, okay? So start to tap into numbers 1, 2, and 3. If you operate in a more linear fashion and you connect more with the numbers, choosing 1, 2, or 3, which one of those numbers resonates the most, which one speaks to you the most, that's what you choose. But if you are more of a visual person, let's do a correlation here. So for item 1, this tree here, this upstanding, very vertical tree here, this is number 1, okay? Number 2 is this area here, this kind of the shaded canopy of the trees as they merge together. That's number 2. Number 3 is the ivy. The ivy down at the bottom of the trees. You can see the ivy here, here. And ivy, uses trees as its host for growth. So you can look at the ivy here as number 3. In fact, 1, 2, and 3. There's kind of 3 different points there. So we have literally the visual of number 1. We have the merging of number 2. We even have these 2 branches here. And then we have the 3 ivy. Okay. So start to tap into that. And before we talk about the astrology, actually, I'm going to give you a piece of information. Something that I just recognized, that I've just experienced, that I've just learned, that I've just researched since coming upon this information. And I want to share it with you because I want you to use it or investigate it for yourself or have a session with me down the road as appropriate to take a look at how it's impacted or how it plays out in your life experience. And this is what I want to say. As you all are aware, you are born with your blueprint. This is your story. And that story has a cycle of growth and evolution. And we tap into that cycle of growth and evolution through understanding, looking at your progressed chart, how the experience of that blueprint is progressing in the life. But there is also something called the solar return chart, which most of you are very familiar with. The solar return is a yearly thematic story, a collection of themes and interrelated themes, naturally, that are activated for any given 12-month cycle. Okay? Now, the progressed and the solar return and the transits that are activating our original blueprint, our natal chart, are all activated at any given time. It's part of our process of growth and evolution. So the solar return, these themes of growth for the year, for the 12-month cycle between birthdays, is accurate. It's accurate. I've been looking at this, studying it, working with it for years. It's accurate. Why is it accurate? Because it's nature. The solar return is the sun's return to its natal position every single year. And when it returns, the solar system has a new layout. But that layout is not random. That layout is part of the natural cycles of the planets, which are all uh, intelligently organized. And so, thus, every solar return cycle is connected to our natal blueprint, right? So, the themes that we're going through in any given year are appropriate our um, for our life. Okay. Now, this is what I want to share with you. On the day that my mother died, which was the 8th of September, the sun was located at 16 degrees Virgo. Okay. In my solar return that I have activated now, that began a year ago, October, and is still active until a month from now, my moon is at 16 degrees Virgo. In other words, the sun was located at the exact degree of my solar return moon. Okay. So I thought that was very interesting. And I knew that there was some major correlation here that I was just waking up to. I've not heard astrologers talk about this, but this noticing was a first for me. I'm 53 and I've just noticed it. Okay. So what I did was I went back to last year's solar return because there was a particular event that occurred on a particular date last year for me. And so what did I do? I pulled up my 2018 to 2019 solar return cycle. And lo and behold, the point where the moon was located was indeed highlighted by the sun's position there because there was an activation on that date. I don't know if I'm making sense. There was an event that occurred when the sun hit the solar return moon. So for me, for my personal life experience, I can tell you that both 2019 and 2020 had very, what I would call profound experiences, certainly with my mother's transition, but even last year, there was an event occurred that felt paradigm shifting for me. It was life changing. Even though it was kind of an innocuous thing, it created a foundational shift. So, what I would say to each of you is pay attention to when the sun is transiting your solar return moon. It might be that nothing occurs for you. It might be that there's no revelation and no event and no issue that arises, that there's nothing that catalyzes anything, and that's fine too. But you might want to be curious about it because perhaps in the coming cycles, in the coming years, and this year for you, it might be that you're going to find that indeed the sun does highlight something that changes you emotionally. And of course, this year, with the moon's position, number one, 16 is a karmic degree. So, in other words, my Virgo moon at 16 degrees for my solar return cycle, it was karmic. There was something karmic happening for me. The moon does rule mother. It rules other things as well, but the moon represents mother. So for me, karmically, there would have been a karmic issue playing out that would have impacted me foundationally, but also involving, in this case, in 2020, it indeed did involve my mother. Not every time is an event that involves your moon going to involve your mother, but sometimes it will. So this felt an important revelation, and I definitely wanted to share that with you. Okay, so let's take a look at the astrology for this particular equinox. Now, keep in mind, this is a cardinal equinox. This is an initiating equinox. This is a point in the year, a quarterly point in the year, one of two equinoxes that are squaring two solstice points that is seasonal shifting. It's a seasonal event shift, and it's cardinal, as are all of these quarterly points in the year. The cardinal point is the start of a new chapter. And so when we're looking at the equinox blueprint here, we are looking at the storyline for the next 3 months. So let's take a look at what this shows. The very first thing out of the gate, and again, we're looking at it at the Eastern chart. Many of you are going to have a Scorpio ascendant activation, but we'll take a look. I'm going to go ahead and let's review this first, and then we'll go back and look at something else as well. Okay. So with regards to the Scorpio ascendant, number one, it's at a number 2. Okay. Here we are at September 22nd, 2020, 2222, right? This is a master number, and this is a master number with potential here. There's potential here. There's potential to really activate new narratives, a new story, a new level of growth and evolution. That's what's activated here, okay? So we have 2, 2, and 2, 2, number one. Here we have 2 and 2. So the horizontal axis that we have here is indeed at number 2. 2 is the number of relationship, one and the other. It's the interrelationship between any two things, whether it's two people, two thoughts, emotions, how we feel about our feelings. You know, it's the number that represents relationship to our environment, our work, our position, our paradigm, you know, all of it. Life is relationships. Life equals relationships. Number 2 is the interconnected number. It's how we relate to whatever it is in life that we're relating to. And number 2, of course, also represents peace, harmony, balance, the collaboration that needs to occur optimally, that must occur between any two entities, right? So 2 represents the dynamic between one and another. And it's in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. So what we're talking about here is for the next few months, there is going to be a perspective that a lot of us are going to be in. Our approach to life that we are going to be in for the next few months is going to be scorpionic plutonic. What does this mean? It means that we're going to be seeing life through the lens of death, destruction. We're going to be seeing life through the lens of rebirth. And indeed, that's what's happening. Everything is dying away. I don't say that because of my recent event. I'm saying that because of the chapter that we're in, and I think most of you realize that. The collective chapter is we are at a precipice point, or really a point of inflection, where things are going to start collapsing out, probably pretty rapidly. So we're kind of in an exponential process of the destruction phase before rebirth occurs, and it will occur in the next 3-4 years. There is going to be, and in fact, within the next 3-4 years, within the next year, within the next 6 months, there's new birth rising out of the ashes that keeps happening and occurring for us, period. So the death that's occurring, the new birth is emerging now, but we are going through a lot of death narratives, a lot of alteration. A lot of things are being destructed out to the baseline of ash. And so we are seeing life, everybody, through that lens, okay? We are also seeing life with a desire to get to the truth beyond the facade, to get to the truth that's hidden beneath the surface. That's also going to be a natural driver over this season ahead. Do you understand? So this is quite good. It's very good. and it gives us a truth telling orientation. There's a desire to be the truth, to tell the truth, to seek the truth, etc. Because it's at a number 2, there's a desire to have the deeper connectedness with the people in our lives. At this number 2, again, Eastern Coast people, specific to the number 2. But there's a desire to really connect at the more profound, deep level, the more meaningful level here, you know, and any superficiality will not stand. It won't last. It will be destructed out. Okay. Now you're going to notice too here, Mercury is in this 12th house, right? So there's karmic processes occurring with regards to communications with people. For some of you that are married, that are partnered, and for those of you that are not yet partnered but seek to be partnered, there can be karmic processes occurring with regards to people. This could be men or women that you seek romantic partnerships with. But for others of you that are married or partnered and in relationships that are kind of primed for some sort of great change to occur, it could be that that occurs, karmically, that there's something that occurs to break it down. And you're also going to notice this. Look at the Mars here. Mars is opposing Mercury. There will be communications that will create, this will be unconscious communications that will occur with the people in our lives. Some people, there's going to be more spiritual based communications occurring. With others, it's going to be more unconscious communications occurring. But it's going to be very much charged to, number one, be of service. So, in other words, one of the ways this is going to show up, in fact, for all of you listening here, part of the group and listening to me now, all of you, what I can say with pretty strong certainty is that, oh, hold on, let me check something. Okay, I just got a text from a friend that is pretty funny. Okay, so with regards to this, and with regards to those of you listening to my voice, what I would say is that there's going to be more deep spiritual and conscious oriented mind and communications coming forward that's going to feed energy being put in to you being of service in some way, shape, or form. For you putting in energy into your work, into your day-to-day pattern, your day-to-day 9 to 5 work. Do you understand? So spiritual mind feeding action being taken as needed with regards to your work, with regards to charities, volunteering your services, doing what you need to do, whatever's called. And then if we look down here, look at what we have activated. I mean, literally, this is the blueprint for this autumnal season coming up for those of us in the northern hemisphere, and the spring season coming up for those in the south. Mind, Mars, and the great stellium of change. Transformation of belief systems, transformation of truths, getting to the truth beneath, diving Pluto beneath the veil into the truths of societal systems, structures, corporate entities, government entities, etc. And having a focus about doing that. But this kind of, and look at where it's located in the 3rd house, right? So we have this 3rd house, great change. The 3rd house is the house of the mind. So where is the destruction and the new form of truth being activated? Where is there a level of empowerment? Where is that flow of empowerment happening? In the mind and in the way we communicate. Where is the cusp of that 3rd house of the mind? Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is in the 3rd, Saturn is ruling the 3rd, Saturn is ruling the mind. This is a more accountable mental process for many people. Many people are going to be owning their own thinking, their own thoughts, their own focuses. Hopefully, instead of projecting all of their own crap onto the other person here. So there's more of a seriousness, more of an accountability, more of a responsibility with regards to the mind. This is excellent, 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 excellent. Okay. This is quite fascinating too, I have to tell you, everybody. So let's take a look at this, but before we do, let's finish talking about this because I actually didn't finish. So with regards to the great up-leveling, the destruction of thoughts and the rebuilding of mind and mental focus that's happening for all of you, right? It's connected to a more spiritualized, more conscious-based evolution, karmic evolution of the mind, of your thinking, of your thoughts. A more Venusian mind, valuing the power of your mind, valuing the potency of your mind. Karmically, there's a process of that activated, okay? Because we have it near Juno, there's also thoughts of partnering. People are going to, I think because of the destruction mechanisms happening in the world, people will be more keen to not be as isolated and to connect more with people. People of like-mindedness, though, that's going to be the real catch. Because we're going to want to connect with people who we love, who we value, who have a like mind and like heart. Otherwise, it's not going to be worth our time because of this. So with regards to the great change of mind happening, the karmic deepening, the spiritual deepening of the thought processes occurring and accessing the potency of the mind, it's going to bring out certain actions in the day-to-day life that will be, for some people, innovation oriented. It'll be enthusiastic and optimistically oriented with regards to the service that's being brought forward. There will be also a certain fire, a certain passion, and even a certain anger that will prompt actions being taken with regards to work and service. Do you understand? So there's a deep prompting to take action where needed, and it's based on the deep stuff that's happening on the collective with our civilization, with our global systems. Everything's collapsing. Truths are collapsing. We need a new form happening here. And all of this stuff is a focus for the mind. And so thus, action is being taken here. Okay, let's talk about the South Node. The South Node is with the asteroid Lilith. Again, these are traveling together for a while. And this is the pattern of belief that needs to be released, specifically the pattern of belief that has to do with devaluation, ignoring the potency of the self. Now, here we have the pattern of belief of what we value. In other words, where do we place our value? Well, whatever it is, we need to release it. What is the pattern of what you value and your beliefs of what you value? In other words, you could have gone your whole life always valuing very expensive things. I need to be, I need to have expensive things. Why am I pointing in that direction? Because we're talking about the second house. So the pattern of belief could be, I need to feel safe and secure. I need to feel safe and secure. I need to feel like I have what I need. I like nice things. I like wealth. This can be a belief system here. This is what we value. The value of the belief, the belief of the belief. I believe this to be true and I value it. And beliefs as it relates to money, possessions, safety, security. I need to feel safe here. Well, do you? Do you? What does it mean if you don't feel safe? What does it mean? Because that's what we have to get to. What does it mean? Right? Whenever we have an issue arise, we have to get to the root of what it means for us. because the meaning you make of something is the trigger that you have with it. It points you directly to your original wounding. So, what does it mean to not feel safe? Well, I could die. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for you? I could die. Not everybody has the same attitude about death. So some people are heavily triggered at a deep, eh, very kind of nervous system orientation. It lives, in other words, in the waters of your being. The fear of death, the fear of betrayal, the fear of pain. Okay? All of these things, investigate them. What does it mean? And so we have pain, and so we die. What does that mean? Okay? So all of this stuff, this is for the further deeper investigation here. But what are the beliefs that you value so strongly, and what are your beliefs about money, possession, safety, and security? Also, what are the patterns of belief as it relates to how you devalue philosophies, teaching, experience, your life experience here? What is it about your own life that you are devaluing? What is it about yourself, your own worth and value, that you are not paying attention to? Okay? All of those patterns need to be released. How are you devaluing yourself? It needs to be released. So, what is the growth? Okay. The eighth house cusp is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, the mind, which is going through a karmic process. The mind, third house, which is going through great change. This is the great up leveling, everybody. Okay. So, where is the North Node? This is the evolutionary trajectory. Where is it? Eighth house. The eighth house is the house of power. It's the house of power. It's the house of holistic mind. Eighth house Gemini. This is deep psychological connecting of the dots to pulling up the awareness of why the mind functions the way it does. Why are thought patterns happening in a certain way? What are my response mechanisms to why I get triggered by this or somebody does that? Why does that trigger me? The growth, the evolution is getting deep with yourself. It's about inquiry. It's about going into the root, the psychological root, the unconscious, the shadows, the stuff that you veil, that you hide from yourself. Okay? The power of the mind is going to be evolved and activated only if you connect the dots to the darkness that lives within you. See, this is another pattern, by the way, and I have to tell you, this is coming up left and right with new clients that have been coming forward for the last 5 months. Okay? This pattern here, this devaluation pattern about what it is that you're valuing, it has to do with this Jupiterian self. Okay? So there's a pattern of what you value about yourself. This is for all of us, by the way. This is for the collective. Okay? But it has to do with only honoring the Jupiterian qualities of you, which is the expansive, the optimistic, the happy, the joyous. Do you understand? What is the eighth house, on the other hand? The eighth house is the house of Scorpio and Pluto. Eighth house is the house of your darkness, the darkness. The second house is the house ruled by Taurus and Venus. It's the house of the things that we love, the things that help give us comfort. Okay, the comforts of life, the expressed, manifested aspects of the physical life. That's the second house. What is the polar opposite? Scorpio, Pluto. What is within? It's the psyche, it's the consciousness, it's the psychology, it's the stuff feeding your life from the darker space. But the eighth house also rules your dark aspects. You each, all of you listening to my voice, you are not angelic. You are not all good. You have all qualities of humanness. And unless and until you own all qualities, all faults, all issues, human issues, normal, natural issues, then there will not be the holistic, empowered mind playing out. Period. Many people refuse to see and own their own darkness. It's fascinating to me. It's absolutely fascinating. And it is indeed a growth edge here. Why? Because the cusp, and again, Eastern US, everybody, okay? I'll pull up a couple different charts to show you some other things, okay? But with regards to Eastern US people, and this includes, by the way, Washington, D.C., right? You can see that the cusp of the 8th house, I'm looking with the Placidus system here. The cusp of the, and by the way, the cusp of this 8th house in Gemini would be this way even with the Porphyry house system. Okay, so Placidus or Porphyry, same cusp point, or it would advance a little bit in Gemini, but it's still Gemini. Meaning Mercury and Gemini ruling the 8th house can mean that there can be a little bit of a superficial relationship with going too deep into our own psychology, our own darkness, and understanding and being compassionate to the darkness of the other. When we're compassionate to the darkness within self, we ultimately are inherently and simultaneously compassionate to the darkness within the other. That's why all of the work is always only within the self. When you love the self, you love other. When you're compassionate, look, I'm looking at the clock, it's 11:11. Okay? When you're compassionate with the self, you're compassionate with other. When you understand the diversity and the distinct nature of you, you understand the distinct nature of the other. When you allow your own living process of self, you allow the living process of the other. There's no judgment and projection. There's no need for the other to be what they're not. The other has their story. Trust them to have their story. Okay? We're not here to manage the other. We're here to just be ourselves. And if there's information that we have to share with people, great, share it. Okay? But we're not here to convince or change. People will grow and awaken when it's time, when they're ready, when they choose it, right? But the thing is, this growth edge for a Gemini 8th house, this is all about evolving our understanding into thinking from a deeper space and speaking from a deeper space, from a more empowered place. This is also about sharing. The South Node in the 2nd house is about self-reliance. The North Node in the 8th house is about collaboration. It's about merging resources. It's about sharing with others. Do you understand? So there's all kinds of different layers to this growth edge, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Let's look at the sun. The sun, of course, is showing at 000, as it should, because we're talking about this cardinal point of shift. The sun moves into Libra, a cardinal sign, and here we are at this equinox point. Well, for us on the east, it's located in the 11th house. What that means is that who we are is very much focused transcendentally. Who we are being is very much focused on the transcendental reality, the collective, what's happening on the collective. But there's something else here too. The sun in Libra in the 11th house definitely talks about community building. Definitely. So there is going to be a progression, which, by the way, this always was the way that humanity was going. But what we're going to see in the next few months is that for many people, there's going to be a natural attention placed on building the community, building the intentional community, building the retreat center, building the think tank, building the community, whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you, right? Gorgeous. And you can see that The sun in Libra, ruled by Venus, okay? Again, Libra, the archetype of Libra is number 2. It's all about harmony, balance, dynamic equilibrium. That is the functionality of the archetype of Libra. So when we look at the sun here, we have this connection over here to Sedna. Okay. So the sun connection to Sedna, Sedna is of course where we are having fear and where we have trust issues arising. So where is it that we have trust issues arising? When it comes to people, when it comes to relating, when it comes to feeling that we can trust others, that we can be valued by others, that we can trust our money and our possessions with others, right? So this connection here is quite interesting because there's a trine, a harmonic relationship, an easy flow of information happening between trust issues that are arising with the people in our life. Can we trust them? Okay. And the kind of prompting to build community. Right? So this is naturally a growth edge here. It's a harmonic connection, but it's the feeding tube of information. The new beginning, 000, of who we are being, building the dream, 11th house, building community, 11th house, being transcendental in our approach to our life now as we move forward at the end of 2020. All of these things are activated along with levels of distrust. So this will be a growth edge. Okay. The connection down here is these 2 points are trining certainly the 25-degree Saturn, but it's also trining the 22-degree Pluto. Okay. So Pluto and Saturn are trining the sun. Pluto and Saturn are trining Sedna. This is a grand Earth trine. And actually, it's not even a grand Earth trine, because the sun is in an air sign. So we have air, earth, earth. This is going to require what? A new mind, air, right? A new beginning, a new potential for you as an individual in how you think and how you approach people, relationships, life itself, how you connect with community, how you organize, how you step into a more transcendental role when it comes to the collective. Yes? So this is very potent. And it's connected down here to the great change. 22 degrees. You know, Pluto is going to be sitting at that 22-degree point for a few months. It's sitting there for 3 months total. So we have a couple more months of Pluto sitting here. So here we have this potent activation of what? The great teacher. 22 degrees Pluto, the great teacher. This is about stepping up into the greater iteration of self, being better, being better. Okay, so this is about stepping up into our power in a more inspired, a more rooted, a more experienced, wise way. And it's connected to Saturn. Both of these are retrograde, of course. So the signature for this next 3-month cycle, everybody, is potency. Retrograde, retrograde. This is potent Plutonic action. This is potent Saturnian action playing out. It's impacting the new potential for the individual. It's impacting levels of trust. So yes, the shakeup occurring is creating issues of trust. Of course it would. Of course it would. There's nothing to fret here. There's nothing to fret here. Okay, of course it will create issues of distrust. So do the inquiry around it. Where the distrust comes up with the other, how are you not trusting yourself? Not trusting how your value is being interpreted by the other, how are you not valuing your own value and worth as you stand in your power in the relationship that you're in, whether it's a partnership, a friendship, whatever it is. Period. Where is there going to be great evolution happening with regards to our lives? It's having to do with relationship. Again, we have 2-2, 2-2, 2, and 2. This is all about relationship. This is where I started the reading. Okay. And what do we have activated here? Uranus. So the great rebellious revolutionary that's shaking up chaos and creating abrupt shift and change has to do with our relationships. Again, at least for the predominance of, or at least for a portion of us. Again, Eastern Time chart, putting Uranus in the seventh house of relationships. So evolution will be occurring with our relationships. But again, I'm going to repeat this because do feel that I will create a video about Uranus. Many astrologers have talked about it, and I invite you to go and listen to them. But I do believe that I will put out a video on Uranus. It's a very complex energy, and a lot of people glom on to Uranus as if it's the humanitarian. Well, yes and no. It can be. It can be ethically aligned in a positive humanitarian track or not. It depends on the consciousness of the person. It depends on the blueprint. So this is inherently a cold functioning planet. It functions coldly. It is non-emotional. It's disconnected from human experience. It's just how it is. It's not a negative. It's not a positive. It's just how it is. It's cold. And it can be thus, cruel. There can be a cruelty here. So there's trust issues, and could there be some cruelty, sudden, abrupt cruelty happening with the people in our life? Could we be abrupt and cruel with the people in our life? It could happen. It could occur. How mindful are you? How present are you? How awake are you to meet this moment? This can be very evolved. If you allow the shakeup and the abruptness of the occurrences that are changing globally, collectively, personally, if you allow it to up-level you, it will. We have a quincunx from that place of great change, 10 degrees to a 10-degree Sag moon. What is it that we are going to value over the course of this next 3-month cycle? Well, a lot of people are going to value their beliefs. And what is it that we simultaneously need to release? Beliefs with regards to various things, which I've already outlined. So here what are we paying attention to emotionally? What matters to us emotionally? Our beliefs, our value, our money, our income, our savings account, our possessions. This matters to a lot of people, okay? The belief about money, it's what we might cling to. But guess what? Life will not let you cling to it. Life will not let you do it. Naturally, part of the signature is abrupt shift and change when it comes to Venusian, Taurian, possessions, value, money, etc., etc. There will be shifts and changes occurring that will not resonate well with how some people are emotionally attached. So thus, it requires the evolution of what you value, what you believe to be truth. See, this is the other thing here. When we're talking about the moon in Sag, some people are going to be very rigidly attached to their own idea of truth. It's what they value, and it's what they're sticking to. It's what they're emotionally connected to. It's what they're entrained to be. It's part of the existing pattern that some people are not going to release. And the interesting thing is, it's with Lilith. It has to do with an enslavement narrative. So people are going to value their own ideas, their own truth, their own paradigm, their own worldview. And that is not going to connect well with the evolutions needed and the evolutionary state that a lot of people are going to be in, that individuals that are rigidly attached to their own idea of truth, they're not going to be able to meet the more evolved relationship or the more evolved person in their life. They're going to resist it. They're going to actually, there's a disconnect here. So it's almost like some people that don't release old patterns and don't become more malleable in their what they desire and what they seek, they're going to lose out on the opportunities that are at hand here. Okay. There is something here too. Look at the yod. So we have the yod. We have Venus with Vesta. You know, people have different ideas about Vesta. I am not an expert on Vesta. I don't claim to be. I usually don't pull up Vesta. But this is what I will say about Vesta. The Vestal virgins, the girls that protected the fire of Rome. You know, that's what we're talking about here. There's a dedication with Vesta. When we're looking at the asteroid Vesta, we're looking at some sort of a dedication to keeping the fire going. It's a level of safety and protection to be in that role. There is a level of eliteness to being in that role as this, let's call it the Vestal Virgin, right? But there is a level here of being protected by adopting the role of being of service in some way that you're committed to. And the interesting thing is we have this 18 degrees and 18 degrees with Venus. So we have Venus representing woman, the feminine, representing sexuality and love, affection, representing beauty, Venus representing money and abundance, nature, you know, Venus representing certainly woman. And with the Vestal component on Venus, it's kind of interesting. In fact, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because I haven't really looked at this yet. We have, though, a yod, everybody. So we have 18 Venus Vesta with Jupiter. So it has to do with belief systems. And it's connected over here to delusion and creative inspiration, depending on how we utilize it. If the beliefs can transform and expand, if the mind can expand in the way is called, there is a brilliant sextile activation to a new level of high level creative inspiration, revelation, you know. This is what we're talking about here. Fifth house, Pisces, 19-degree Neptune. There's a potential here for each of us as individuals to step up and out in a new level of high spiritual creativity. And I don't say spiritual in any way other than consciousness. Consciousness itself operates with high level creative function. And so when we really activate the power, the potency of this particular fifth house Neptune placement as it sextiles to Jupiter, this can be a very matured mind, activating also simultaneously high level creative functioning. Do you understand? This can also be things like using sound, music, frequency, visuals, movies, film, to create images, pictures, new storylines. Do you understand? So there's potential here, great potential. In fact, the yod does show us that indeed this is a quote unquote fated experience. The yod does. I say this through experience. Through experience, I can tell you that the yod shows what we will experience. It is a karmically necessary experience that we will go through. Okay. So there will be something occurring with regards to creating new stories through major inspired creative action. And what will it do? What is the pinnacle point of the yod? Quincunx and quincunx are these crisis points, these disconnections, these dissonant relationships. But the whole entity of the yod points us to the release valve of any tension that we might be feeling. And what is the release valve? Well, to be committed to self-love, to self-value, to creative confidence, right? These are both in Leo, ruled by the sun, which is you. So what we're talking about here is activating in the career, in your goals. Look at the MC at 8. This is about living your power here. This is about living in an empowered way. The truth, the innocent iteration of Leo. Leo, when it's in a lower frequency iteration, will show up as the narcissist. Leo in the lower frequency iteration will show up as the egotist, somebody who is completely self-interested, who has no orientation to their connection to intrinsically the web of life, to everything else, to every other person, to every other living system. So the lower iteration of Leo can look like a narcissistic asshole. But when we're looking at the pure higher frequency manifestation of Leo, what we're looking at is pure expression from a place of pure confidence, innocent, foundational, natural confidence in who you are and what you're here to express that is very distinct and individuated to you. Okay? So this is potent. Why? Because there's a commitment to creative action. Make it the empowered goal. Express yourself. When you do, you are creating a new story, period. Now, all of you are going to be doing this in different ways, right? Some of you will be doing it through film. Some of it will be doing it through acting. Some of it will be doing it through music, through sound. Some of it will be doing it through writing. There will be different levels by which the creative juice flows out through the new story gets created and built. It is part of the structure of this time. Okay? There are positive things that can manifest here, definitively. No question about it. And it's going to be fed a little bit because we have Karma here at 7, Varuna at 4, Hygeia at 2. All of these asteroids. Hygeia is about health and healing of the mind. And here and other things too. We have it at number 2, right? So we have the deeper scorpionic plutonic perspective and approach to life that is part of the health and healing that is required karmically. Okay? It's part of the true number 4, Varuna. Varuna can be righteous confidence. Okay? Righteous confidence that what I know is correct. Now, for some people, Varuna in the 9th house is emotionally based belief systems. Okay. And here we have emotionally based belief systems. So we have it in both places here. Okay. And it's karmic. So there's a karmic process with righteous, emotionally held beliefs. I'm right. You're wrong. This is truth. That's not truth. Well, it's part of Hygeia, the mental health, the health and the healing of the belief system, the health and healing of the emotional roots that are driving the mind. Okay? Potent stuff, everybody. Potent stuff. Now, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video because I am going to post this on the public channel. So for my members, stay tuned for a part number 2, and we will take a look at the self. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and proceed. I'm going to proceed with the guidance. Let's pull up the dakinis, okay? So everybody, let's go ahead and proceed. Let's go ahead and finish this. Members, I am going to be sharing this to the collective, okay? This is going to be posted on the public YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and put that down. Everybody, so I'm going to remind you, let's go ahead and turn off the highlighter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remind you of the choices here, right? So what we're doing here is a self-selected intuitive guidance. I do this every week with my members. And we have number 1, number 2, and number 3. If you need visuals, we have number 1, uh, at this tree over here on the left side of the screen, this upright, big, thick tree. Okay, so this is representing choice number 1. Choice number 2 is the canopy of trees connecting. Choice number 3 is the ivy at the base of the trees over here. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, if you need more time, you can go ahead and click pause, because I'm going to go ahead and select now. All right. So for those of you, and by the way, the pulling of this particular intuitive guidance is indeed for this week ahead. But because this video is really focused on this next 3-month cycle, this is really the guidance for your next 3 months. All right. So if you've not selected yet, put this video on pause, connect into 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, or 3. And let's go ahead and select now. So if you selected choice number 1, everybody, this is of course from Penny Slinger, okay? The 64 Dakini Oracle, Penny Slinger. If you selected number 1, everybody, your guidance for the next 3-month cycle is fractally, number 7. Fractally. Now, number 7 represents that which cannot fully be known. It represents life, but life which has its mystery, life which is not all linear, analytic, and physical. It has aspects to it that's immaterial. The predominance of our physical life is, in fact, immaterial. That's what 7 represents. So with regards to fractally, okay, I'm going to read some of it here, and not all of it because it's a long document, but let's look at the basis here. So who is fractali? She is born from the air of consciousness and duplicates herself within the largest to the smallest form. As most of you realize, life operates in fractals. Naturally, nature does that. So fractali is a dakini composed of transforming fractals. Fractals move from whenever and wherever she moves through her fractal universe. Her mission is to show us the fractal nature of all reality. Beneath the surface of appearances lies the magical United Kingdom, queendom of fractal design. She is one of the new dakinis revealing ancient secrets in our modern world. A fractal is a non-regular geometric shape, surface, or pattern that can be reduced into fragments, each of which has a similar shape or pattern to that of the whole. She is a property known as self-similarity. This is one of the organizing principles of life, okay? She has the potential to expand into infinitely big or reduce into infinitely small. Its patterns are too complex or irregular to be described by conventional Euclidean geometric language. Fractali touches the earth where art, music, and nature science meet together, okay? So you can pause and read. Okay, you can pause and read. Let's look at the meaning here, okay? Again, this is your guidance. This is who you are to become for the next few months, to optimally flow with your process. Fractali offers you the golden key, the key that opens the portal that connects macrocosm to microcosm. She shows us that we are all part of a family of forms, an infinite continuity. Nature is designed in mathematical equations that underlie the fabric of existence. The realm of fractals is built on algorithms that simulate the way natural forms occur. These rules of growth reveal order hidden in chaos, which is always the case, by the way. There's always order in the chaotic process that occurs, which is part of nature. Fractal patterns exhibit self-similarity, which are patterns in which the smaller part reflects the pattern of the whole. When you look at something from far away, you see a pattern. When you look up close, you see the same pattern. Thus, everybody, self and other reflect each other, always, okay? Understanding the nature of fractals is a key that unlocks the mystery of being, the golden key, which works with the golden mean, the phi ratio. The Fibonacci sequence defines the ratio, and I think it's Fibonacci. I think that R should not be there. I could be wrong. The Fibonacci sequence defines the ratio by which a spiral expands its size while keeping its shape. The proportions of the human body conform to this ratio. Fractali promotes self-reflective self-organization. I actually want to really focus you there because that's going to be your process for the next few months. This is the guidance that you are receiving from yourself, that you are to self-reflect. You are to see that the externalized world is a reflection, especially when it triggers you. And so when you are activated by the external trigger, look within. Because when you look within, that's the cure, that's the healing. How is it that you are doing that to yourself? Ultimately, too, how are you doing that to other? But look to see how you are doing the exact thing that you're judging out there to yourself. Okay? The patterns of your life reflect the patterns of the world. Each individual has the power to change the big picture by changing their own lives. This is the nature of nature. Thus, my tagline that I've had since 2010. If you have the power to repattern, to reprogram reality, use nature as your guide, an opportunity for humans to create designs and structures that resonate with growth patterns in nature. This is the nature of the world of fractals and why they appear as beautiful to us. Anything that reflects the way we are constructed is appealing to us and helps us to feel connected and part of the grand design. Choose this approach in your current project. Become a master or mistress of biomimetics, so biomimicry, okay? Applying the principles of natural systems to what you design and engineer in your life as well as in the workplace. It is comforting to know that the very heart of our cellular patterning looks like the arrangement of the stars. Fractali brings the wisdom of the old adage, take care of the little things and the bigger things will take care of themselves. Indeed. Attention to detail is indicated. Also, paradoxically or coincidentally, keeping sight of the big picture will also allow you to focus on the minutiae. Fractali reveals that our skins are just thin membranes, that the inside and outside are not really that separate. Everything affects everything. Each of our actions, all we do, has an effect in the universe. Simultaneously, by the way. And quote unquote past future implicated. So as soon as you heal self, you simultaneously heal quote unquote past and quote unquote future. Okay? It's all just consciousness. That's what it is. Understand the patterns you create in your life, however small, have far reaching consequences. There is no such thing as an isolated event or an unconnected thought or stream of consciousness. Fractali encourages Fractali encourages you to take note of your patterns. Take small, recurrent events and blow them up to a grand scale in your mind. Do you like how they look when they get amplified? If not, time to do something about these patterns and shift them into something you like to look at. Patterns will repeat themselves unless reconfigured with awareness. Thus, the work I do with people understanding their blueprint. Okay? When the patterns of an individual's life harmonize with the natural world, it is called walking in beauty. Discover how to walk in beauty. Take actions that will balance previous actions. Fractali presents another view of symmetry. Symmetry that is not immediately obvious, but reveals itself over time. Put energy in without looking for immediate results, but with the firm belief that there is no waste in the universe. This is a critical aspect to understanding life, everybody. Living systems. Life does not operate wastefully. Every single thing that occurs, first of all, nothing that occurs is random. That's a myth. Everything is correlated, number one. Number two, everything that happens is functional. There is zero waste in nature. Every event that occurs has multiple evolutionary catalytic impacts. It serves the greater whole arc of whatever the system is that it's impacting, right? Okay, so you can pause and read. And here we go. Dakini transmission. I am she who holds the golden key. Universes revolve in me. In fractal complex simplicity. It's all one, you see, speaking micro, macro, cosmically. Okay. The affirmation is here. I am part of everything, and everything is part of me. I see the grand design, and I do not doubt my place in it. I care for everything, the large and the small. Okay. So, if you selected number one, that is your growth for the next few months. Let's look at choice two. If you selected choice two, let's go ahead and pop this up. Okay. Aphrodisia. Okay. I'm going to open this up just a little bit here. So, number 30. Now, 30, 3 and 0. 3 is creativity, communication, community. 0 is gifts. 0 is potential. 0 is information from the source field. So when we're talking about 30, what we're talking about here is inspired communication, inspired collaboration, inspired community. Do you understand? Aphrodisia. Aphrodisia is born from the foam, and the emotion of love and attraction flows with her as waves of bliss affecting the air of our consciousness. Aphrodite is known to us as the Greek goddess of love, Roman goddess Venus, right? And you saw that Venus was at the pinnacle point of that yod, right? She represents beauty, fertility, eternal youth, love, pleasure, attraction, sexuality. Her erotic form was known as Aphrodite porn, where the word pornography comes from, which actually denotes one word of the goddess of love's sacred arts. Aphrodisia is her reborn evolutionary form, which she has stepped into to bring forth the energies most appropriate for our times. As a goddess who evokes feelings of love and sexual magnetism, in the past she may have used her powers of allurement to bind those caught in her web of attraction. Now she wishes to use her charms to awaken within those who desire her unconditional, not conditional love. Okay? She wants to move beyond rivalries and jealousies attributed to the pantheon of Greek goddesses and gods. Aphrodisia is love as a state of being, love that loves for its own sake, not for what or who it can get or have, but because it just is. This is the gift of Aphrodisia, to awaken the goddess of love within your own heart so that she may reign supreme in all that you are and all that you do. Okay, you can pause and read. Okay, and let's talk about the meaning here. So, Aphrodisia has entered your life as the goddess of love emerging from the foam. Whatever way she is able to manifest in your life, she is a blessing of love. She may indicate a love affair or the dawning of love within as something you become rather than something you seek. Attraction, magnetism, modesty, desirability. Nature itself needs to be desirable in all its forms of life, based on the laws of attraction, is to flourish. So the nature is to flourish, to evolve, to expand, to grow. That's nature. That's how the consciousness field operates, by the growth push, the growth edge, always expanding. Be life positive. Feelings of sensuality and loveliness that are reborn anew in every moment, much as love has the potential to spontaneously arise at any moment. Being in the moment and bringing your full presence to the present. Do not be caught up in patterns of what love has been, but allow it to be itself now. Love cannot be captured. To realize its true nature, it must be free. Time to release possessiveness. If you are a woman, have you used your feminine wiles to get your own way? If so, time to be reborn and emerge washed clean of selfish love. If you have not cultivated the art of love and attraction. Perhaps it is time to do so now, and do it as a tribute to the Dakini Aphrodisia. In this way, you offer your bodily temple as a vessel for her energy, her unconditional love vibration, so bringing beauty and loveliness into the world for its own sake, for the goddess, and because it feels good to do so. If you are a man, perhaps it's time to look at women in a different way. Cultivate your beauty and how you present yourself to the world as homage to Aphrodisia, as a gift offered to you in honor of the goddess, not a vanity. Do you find it difficult to accept compliments? If anyone admires you, pass the compliment on to the goddess, to Aphrodisia. When it just passes through you as a conduit for divine feminine energy, and you do not have to keep it for yourself. People are so intoxicated with outer appearance. Aphrodisia personifies the loveliness within that just shines and radiates and attracts because its nature is love itself. Aphrodisia's reborn signature is that she is love itself. She holds the essence of pure love in her heart, which seeks not for anything to cling to because it just is and flames within its own intensity. Beyond desire, this love is the magnetic center of creation and preservation. It is not love of something, but love as a state of being. Jealousy has no place in the new paradigm world, where the beauty of each is unique and attracts to it by nature of the expansion of its true self, all that it needs for self fulfillment and to freely give and receive love. Many parasites have attracted themselves to the pure vibration of love and confused us as to its true nature. Security, position, power, codependence, and fear are but some of the motivating factors in this arena. Aphrodisia asks us to cleanse ourselves of all these attachments so that we can experience the real nature of her essence and experience the bliss she has to offer. Bring fairness of all your dealings in life, for Aphrodisia is not only fair of complexion, but she stands for justice and truth. Truth and beauty have been going their separate ways. Time for them to reunite. To dwell in the realm of Aphrodisia, adopt a pansexual relationship with all that is. Take pleasure in all experience. Treat every encounter with all sentient life as an opportunity to share love. Just be it and emanate it, and you'll be amazed at how much creation is ready to respond in kind. Exceedingly true. Be mindful of nature, speak to it. It talks, it communicates. Much more to say about that. Enlightened beings are in love with everything. That's why love light shines from their faces. Set up the carrier wave of love and let it start with your heart, your wide open heart, and the sheer loveliness of your being. Okay, you can read, pause and read. Practices, you can pause and read. And let's go here to the transmission. So the Dakini transmission, let me seduce you into loving yourself and loving the divine. Through me, a perfect harmony of attraction, the goddess of love in action. Keep in mind, we have that Mars in that 6th house, love in action. Okay, from a new mind. Affirmations: I am a being whose true nature is love. I cultivate the art of love. In all my actions and interactions, I spread love and loveliness wherever I go. Beautiful. So if you selected number 2, this is your guidance. This is your growth edge for the next few months. All right. If you selected choice number 3, the ivy. Here we go. Now, this is a beautiful one, right? This is a more intensified one, but it's a brilliant one, and I'm glad it came forward. Protectress. Protectress. Number 37. The interesting thing is, if you notice, everybody, the first choice, Fractali, was number 7. The second choice was number 30, Aphrodisia. Here we have 3 and 7 both. Together it equals 10. Remember what we had in the chart with the number 10. The 10 moon and the 10 Uranus. This is about, we can look at number 10 like a binary. We can look at number 10 like a completion. We can look at number 10 like a graduation like a fullness of experience. We can look at the potential of the individual with a 1 and a 0. Okay, so there's lots here. With number 3, we have creative consciousness, right? So here we have Protectress as your Dakini. She has a fiery, wrathful nature, protecting the ground the mandala represents by enclosing the inner light of the heart with fire. Who is Protectress? She who protects the sanctity of the mandala of self. She embodies the role of the Dharmapalas in Tantric Buddhism, guardian figures evoked for magical protection from external harm and to eliminate obstacles hindering the practitioner. There are 3 classes of protectors: wisdom, activity, and worldly. There are a number of specific Dharmapalas, guardians, protectors, in the Tibetan pantheon. They are male, like Mahakala, great time. The female embodiments, like Palden Lamo, glorious goddess. Palden Lamo is considered to be the principal protectress of Tibet. She is one of the 8 great Dharmapalas and is the only female Dharma protector common to all 4 schools of Buddhism. She is depicted as very wrathful, riding her mule across an ocean of blood, surrounded by wisdom fire. Her skin is dark blue and she has 3 eyes. Dharmapalas are gatekeepers in the mandala ritual. They appear in menacing form to be more daunting than the entities they guard against, the dark forces of the human psyche which cannot enter the inner sanctum of the mandala. Protectress is a protector of the Dharma, the truth. Okay? You can pause and read. And if we go to the divinatory meaning here, protectress is evoked for magical protection. She is, now keep in mind, everybody, this is who you, if you selected number 3, this is who you are to become. This is your growth edge. This is your embodiment over the next 3 months that is in your optimal best interest. Okay? So Protectress is evoked for magical protection. She is here to bring your protection in whatever area of life that this is most required. So wherever it's most required, this is where you're to bring it forward. You have called her in and she is here. If you feel you need psychic protection, she is here. If you feel you need emotional protection, call in her ruthless compassion. Protectress is here to help guard against threats from the outside, but she is also here to protect against those threats, those regressive and negative tendencies that lie within. Okay? So it's the patterns within. Okay? That's the darkness. Once you heal that, there is no externalized stuff that has access. It's only the inner stuff that creates the opening for any kind of other access, okay? Protectress is here to help guard against threats from the outside, but she is also here to help protect against those threats, those regressive and negative tendencies that lie within. Time to enter that part of yourself that transcends, is free from these inner dark forces. Protectress is here to assist. From what do you wish to protect yourself that arises from within your own psyche? Doubt can be a great enemy to those on the path. Feelings of attraction or repulsion can often veil perception. Protectress is here to cut through illusion and create clear space. What is really important to you? Who or what do you wish to protect? For protectress to be fully activated in your life, all you need to do is make sure that you want to that what you want protected is fully aligned with your truth. She is righteous wrath. If you need to bring this energy to a situation for resolution, she is right behind you. Her weapons are the subtle tools of skillful means and appropriate application. The person arriving at this portal is probably in need of some psychic protection in some area of their lives. People coming into the path of Tantric Buddhism are taking refuge. This portal will allow you to visualize taking refuge, finding protection within this powerful Tantric mandala. In the center of the mandala is a flaming heart, the precious essence which is being so ardently protected. The heart of an awakened or awakening being is so tender and sensitive because it is so open and compassionate. It may need protecting from forces that would trample it or seek to manipulate its sensitivity for their own ends. The fact that ignorance is often the cause of such action does not mitigate its effect. Therefore, the need to protect that which is precious and sacred may be the wise recourse. Know that your essence is precious and worthy of protection. The presence of this dakini may indicate the need to protect some aspect of your property or holdings. It may call for copyrighting of materials, insurance, fences, gates, or alarm systems being put into place. These measures may need to be taken on a material, physical level, and or on a psychic one. Do you have built-in alarm systems that warn you when something is off and when there may be a need to safeguard what is precious to you? We all have these natural instincts and responses, though these messages our instinctual being sends us often go unheeded. Time to tune into these messages and tune up these faculties so that they can work for you effectively. The right to use wrath or anger, the role of Mars is our nature. Excuse me, let me just reread that. The right to use, the right use of wrath or anger. So, in other words, for you over the course of this cycle, be in right alignment with how you use your own wrath and your own anger. Okay. So sometimes Penny just bullet points things. So it's important to note that. The role of Mars in our nature does have a useful place. We tend to associate anger with outbursts of emotion that are out of control and therefore to be considered negative or to have a negative effect. Although this Although this is often the case, anger sometimes has a useful role. In fact, often has a useful role to play in cutting through stagnation. Lethargy and other forms of negative stuck energy. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm getting some texts and it's distracting me. Let me turn off my phone. My phone's not turning off. I don't know what that's about. Okay, so I wanted to say something about what she said here. So she says, although this is often the case, anger sometimes has a useful role to play in cutting through stagnation. Yes, definitely the case. I would say more than sometimes. Anger is functional. How we use the anger is our free will choice. That's what I wanted to say here. So anger is always functional because it's always pointing to a fear or a wound. It's always pointing to something that needs to be responded to, right? So it's always useful. So sometimes anger has a useful role to play in cutting through stagnation, lethargy, and other forms of negative stuck energy. It also is an effective tool to ward off those tendencies that seek to pervert the truth in ourselves or in others. This is the application of anger as a conscious tool to remedy certain situations. You use anger, it does not use you. This is the righteous path of Protectress, making herself more terrific than the forces that seek to terrify. She subdues the forces of coercion, for any act that seeks to force or bend other beings to its will in order to achieve its own ends only encourages that action upon itself sooner or later. Life by the sword and live by the sword and die by the sword is an endless karmic loop of action and reaction. Isn't it not? Okay. Protectress cuts through all of this with her sword of truth. so that we may abide in the center of the mandala where the living, ever forgiving heart of compassion resides. The truth of the heart is its own protection. Period. Protectress is but a ray, a powerful emanation of that heart. Okay, so you can pause and read. Here you can see practices. Okay. Mantra, seed, syllable, hum. Okay. And the Dakini transmission. Let's go to the transmission here. I am here to protect you from your enemies, from yourself, from the things that hold you back, from the things you deny. I am here to protect what I hold dear, your heart's essence, wherein lies truth. I am here to protect you from your enemies, from yourself, from the things that hold you back, from the things you deny. I am here to protect what I hold dear, your heart's essence, wherein lies truth. The affirmations, I am protected. I am protected. I am protected. Of course you are. Are you protecting yourself? That's the key. Nobody else really is going to protect you. There's nothing else to protect you. You are the one to decide, I am worth protecting, period. So your affirmation, I am protected. Of course you are. Make it so. I decide it. I'm worth it, and I make it so. I am protected. I am protected. I am protected. I am safe. I am safe. Okay? Be present with your life. Living from the past, anxious about the future. You're out of time. You're out of consciousness at this point. Of course you're safe. I am safe. In the circle of truth, the circle of the fire, there is nothing that separates me from the truth, and nothing can take that from me. Confronting truth, honesty with the truth, everybody, it is the great growth for humanity. Being willing to see the truth and accept it. Accept the truth. There's no need to change it or alter it. There's no need to make it a prettier story about you or how they feel about you or whatever else it might be. See truth. Be ready to confront truth. It's safe. It's okay. All is well. The truth is okay, you know? All right, everybody. So, and again, I'm talking to the collective now. So, but for my members, lots of love to all of you. I will talk to you more this week. And for the greater audience out there, for my YouTube audience, for those interested in ordering your natal analysis, there's a few week lead time for those, but you are more than welcome to link below and place your order and get that in. There's also a 2020 and 2021 analysis offering, which might serve a good portion of you out there. So you can see all of that below. And I look forward to talking to you again soon, everybody. I send you lots of love for these great changing times. I'll have some more videos coming out on the public channel at some point very soon. Okay, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.